journalist Sean Keenan, who joins us right now. Welcome, Sean. So you interviewed the guys. This is 2015, so just take us back there and what you remember.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Connell. I mean, it began like any other story. Somebody comes and talks to you about an issue they're having with maybe a government program or the way that the university is helping them out or otherwise. And Shamsud-Din was just one of many student veterans that I spoke to who was having difficulty acclimating to life after the service. And, you know, until yesterday, it was what I thought was a relatively unremarkable story, or rather now is a reminder that, you know, all of the stories are important. And learning that I had just met this person when I was just a cub reporter at Georgia State was jarring, to say the least.
Does it anything, so nothing necessarily stood out about him in the military that, you know, may have changed in his life? From what I was reading about him, it seems, and we don't know a lot, some things we don't know yet, maybe some of the changes that happened more recently, you know, in his private life and marriages and the like.
He certainly did not throw any red flags for me. He was a calm and collected guy, you know, a little bit reserved. I've been saying this in numerous interviews. He was a bit distant in the way that some veterans are after challenging deployments. But, you know, other than that, he just seemed like a normal guy. One thing that did stand out to me, and this is, you know, maybe superficial, were his eyes. He had, I mean, you can see on your screen there, he had these piercing kind of gray-brown eyes, and that is actually how we confirmed that I did, in fact, meet the suspect in the New Orleans attack. You know, I was covering this for the New York Times. Obviously, I first learned about this from an Atlanta Journal-Constitution reporter who asked me, hey, did you write this old story in your student paper? I said, yeah. What does it matter? So I immediately pick up the phone, call my editors at the Times and say, I think I knew the guy. And, you know, I may have actually misspelled his name in the Georgia State student paper 10 years ago, which hopefully I can be forgiven for. That was my first year as a journalist. But when the FBI released that image, I remembered those eyes, and we knew the story was solid.
Really? The eyes? What was it about them?
Just piercing, I guess. You know, I felt like he was really looking into you. And
well, that's interesting,
you know,
because you also said he seemed distant at times. So it was a kind of an interesting, you know, it's hard to know what to read into, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's, you know, it's just a testament to the really difficult nature of situations like this, where you're trying to learn so much about a pretty mysterious and so far, based on the reporting, seems like guarded person.
So now you're back. Now you're covering the story, you know, a decade later for the New York Times. What stands out now? I mean, it's probably hard to get it out of your head because you were the only kind of reporter who's on the story. You knew him back then. But does anything stand out now that, you know, did it inform your reporting now in any way, shape, or form? Or?
Frankly, nothing jumps to mind because so I'm a contractor. I was not on this story until I learned that I was the closest link to the suspect. Okay. So, you know, my other colleagues who work over there, they have obviously been tirelessly probing every angle. You know, we've had people talk to his family and his friends. And I think what we're hearing in a lot of our reporting is sort of reflective of this frustration that I'm expressing now, that like even the people closest to him are completely blindsided by this. So, you know, I think there's also something worth digging deeper into, in that Shamsud-Din Jabbar is not alone in having trouble getting out of that military mindset or just acclimating to life as a civilian. So I am not equipped to say or speculate on what role that may have played in his supposed radicalization, but it's certainly worth looking into.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.